Hi, Bob. Wait a minute. Where'd you go?
Good morning.
There you are. All right. Say something.
Test, test, test.
Thank you. Say something. I'm giving up on you. Just kidding. Not giving up on you. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm well. Thank you.
All right.
Move this. Move. How do I move this picture of me? Oh, anyways. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I do have some questions.
What's that?
I do have some questions.
Oh, good. And hold on. This just, for some reason, why is it coming out? I want it to come out there, not there. Pause.
Okay.
Okay. What are the questions?
So the lip trill and the tongue trill, what was I supposed to focus on during those things? It's just kind of like, okay, it's making my mouth buzz, but I wasn't sure what in the world I was supposed to pay attention to or what. So
Okay, sure. And let me look back here. Did I have you doing them with fire
right
engine?
at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, right at the end.
Okay. Very good. So lip trills and tongue trills are generally speaking excellent for singing, period. Okay, so now because it really helps your tongue and jaw relax and move. If you are not relaxed, you won't be able to do lip trills. You can't keep a stiff jaw and
right.
you, so it is there's a mental, you have to say to yourself, relax, and you want that relaxation response to become something you don't have to wrestle with.
Got it. Okay.
That you can just turn it on and you're there. So both of those, and then when you are doing something like the fire engine, both the lip trills and the tongue trills, they bypass some of the muscular activity that happens when you're vocalizing with words, that bring the laryngeal flip, or like the laryngeal shift to the fore. So I wanted you to be able to get through the fire engine with success. So when you did it with when you did the lip trills and the tongue trills with the fire engine, did you experience that blockage and the derailing that, right? So because what ends up happening when we're constantly focusing on that change, when you're going through the passaggio, the passageway.
Right.
When we focus on that, it becomes like you can't stop thinking about it. So you need to have successes that get you past it, that get you vocalizing through your whole range in a way that you don't feel sidetracked.
Then
by that.
They were successful.
Good, I'm glad. And then one thing that I want to give you today, and ba is another thing that does the same thing. So
what
even
does?
though you're ba, the ba 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 ba.
Oh,
that
ba,
one.
ba,
Ba, ba,
ba, ba.
yeah. What did I didn't write down what shape I had you do that on. Did we do it on We didn't.
never
I just
did
didn't say.
Yeah, all we did was the
Oh, okay. That's
the
why I wrote
trills.
down here February 6th. That's what. I'm way more organized than I know. All right. So, okay, so 2, 6, we want to do because that is going to be super helpful with the same goal. But when you
blockage or the passage,
getting you to go through your whole range without getting derailed and fixated on the stuff.
That's
so
what I want.
And with ba and other things that we do, and when we are able to move into the vocal exercises that allow you to do intervals like that, instead of just second intervals, right? So step notes, one right after another. That's another thing that can help you feel success going through your whole range. And that's, generally speaking, more how songs are constructed. There are songs that, you're sliding through notes, or that you're going on just a step-by-step interval, a bunch of seconds in a row. But most songs, there's like, it's usually thirds, like you're skipping a couple notes in there.
Right.
So it's a little more like that now. And so we want to work on getting those successes under your belt and be able to tackle a little bit at a time that passaggio, because it is not the totality of your singing voice. And part of what we want to do is have you learn how to manage your entire singing voice and not fixate on that one part. Because I think I told you either the first or the second week that passaggio, we manage it differently according to the context of the music, and in the immediate setting where you're passing that little part of your range where it's going to happen, and so it's all in the phrasing and the breath, and phrasing, breath, and intensity, but I just don't want to layer too much onto you. It's just
there's plenty already.
So we're going to get to what else. Do you have anything else at the moment?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think with everything that we've done for the last 2 sessions, I think there's so much there, and it's all in the head, and then trying to do it while I'm singing, right? So it's like open palate, open the throat, drop the jaw, tongue forward, breath support. All of this is like, if I can remember all of that, but it's actually doing it while actually singing. So it's kind of like very clunky right now of, I need to bring my tongue forward on that, and I need to open my throat on that, or it'd be easier to do use some ah instead of that straight E. So I think I'm learning. It's just very clunky, singing it right now, but it's good.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like I've got more space, especially with the dropping and the throat opening. I will say the opening the throat is easier for me right now than the dropping of the jaw, and I think that's probably just habit. But
sure, it is. I mean, yeah, and muscle memory. Yeah. Okay, good. Then what I want to do is I'd like to hear you do a fire engine, okay? And I want to see you do a fire engine with either the lip trill or the tongue trill, or you want to do it, and then I want to move on.
Okay. And I think whatever this one is.
Lip trill.
Lip trill is easier for me than the tongue trill. So.
Okay. Okay. when you do the tongue trill, I want you to relax your lips totally. Here's what I saw, and you probably were seeing it in the video, in your reflection, you're looking at yourself, although yours is probably little like mine is. To look at myself, I have to go. But when you're doing it, here's what is happening with your mouth. Now, do we want to not smile and be pleasant when we sing? No, we want to, when a song is appropriate to it, we want to be able to have a pleasant face and smile. But those smile muscles, which is kind of what you were doing more or less. You just, it wasn't, you weren't smiling, but
especially
you were using
when
the smile muscles.
Higher notes, right?
Yes. And, but you want to try to get out of that habit of that. Keep it just relaxed so that you just see this. Right? And because what you're doing is you're isolating the work that's going on. When you're isolating the work to the muscles that are actually involved. And that's what you want. Okay. You're letting them do their work, the muscles that are involved. When you go like this, because you think that's going to help you get higher, it actually is counterproductive, because those smile muscles they connect to the muscles down the neck, okay, which are next to the laryngeal muscles. So the smile muscles aren't part of the laryngeal function, and so you just want to let it do its thing. When you do this too, you remove, you bypass the benefit of being able to experience the sensation of the transfer of resonance. Okay, transfer of resonance is a term coined by a guy named Seth Riggs, but he's just describing something that's happening. Transfer of resonance is just, and I sometimes will call it shifting, the resonance shift. We're not doing anything to make it happen. When you move up and down your range, you feel the resonance of the lower part of your range. You feel the bulk of it happening here. You feel vibration. You feel sometimes just a sense of pressure, not bad pressure, just good pressure. You just feel that sense that that's where the sound is focusing. Right. When you're in your lower range, it's focusing here. When you're in your upper range, it's focusing here. And it continues moving around. It's not usually like side to side. It's usually up and down, and super high sopranos sometimes feel like it's way back here. But it's all, you're not singing to the sensation, but you want to just become aware. That will, like, to feel it, to realize it's happening, and to let it happen. And when you go like this, then do anything that kind of changes, like tenses up the mouth, then you can't feel it as well. Okay. You can't feel it, but you certainly can't feel it as well, because you're tightening things up. It's subtle, but the tightening is subtle, but it makes a big difference. You will find over time, as you learn to let that all relax, that you will begin to feel this sense that the focus of sound is moving up like this, and then moving back down inside. Yeah, and that's just how your body makes the sound. All right, so good. And can I hear you do a hum, a one on a hum?
A one on a hum.
Do a fire engine on a hum.
Like the
The original, yeah.
Okay.
You got it. Okay. When you came down that time, okay, this is where your observations get really key. Okay, on your way up, you skipped over notes when that passaggio, when your laryngeal shift happened. Yeah. Skipped over some. The same thing happened during your lip trill and a little bit during the tongue trill, okay? But I wasn't going to bring it up because I really don't want to fixate on it. But what I do want to fixate on just now, and I want you to, when you get the video, I want you to go back and listen to this happen again. When you were taking your trip down the backside of that, you didn't skip any notes. Mm. This is an important lesson. That was you supporting your the tones being produced. You were supporting it through the passaggio and all the way down. There was no disconnection. So I want you to go back and study that.
Okay.
And you can then go back and look at the way up and go, well, what was different? When I said, managing that passaggio is about phrasing and breath, and it's also about that transfer of resonance, and it's also about intensity, like how you're really focusing, whether the focus of that sound is really tight, like in a case of think of the only thing that's coming to my mind right now is from Les Mis. There's a scene where, have you ever seen it?
I have.
So when Fantine is singing her big one, when she sings, "But the tigers come at night with their voices soft as thunder," rushing, and they tear your hopes apart when they turn your dream. And this is where she goes through her passaggio. She'll go, "Touche." And there's, in the original key, I wasn't actually doing it in the key that I normally do it in, I was doing it low. So, but if I was doing it in the key I normally do it in, it would be more like this, and I would go through my passaggio because that didn't work. But and I'm right where my larynx has just done its little shift. And I managed it by very sneakily, you never know it, because I've worked it and practiced it and figured out the phrasing and where my breath needs to be and how I need to focus. And but I allowed the larynx to shift. But that doesn't happen overnight. Right? That's I've been in your shoes. And where you're just like, you're fixated on it, and it's like your nightmare, right?
Yeah.
So, but I just promise you, the more you work on your voice as a whole, the more you will understand your breath and all that resonance transferring, intensity, phrasing, like that. All that as a package helps you know how to manage each phrase that in the past you wouldn't have been able to do, because you would have just been breaking all over the place like a yodeler, right?
Right.
So you learn to even slides like there's a little yodel in there. So, but on the way up, it was smooth. But you have to know, okay, well, I'm supporting this way with my breath. When you were coming down your fire engine, you supported it well.
Okay.
And you support differently when the resonance is primarily happening here from when it's happening here. And you made that shift by supporting well from here, you can't see me, from here. When you support well from your diaphragm, the breath flow continues, and you can kind of play with the intensity that you're passing over that part. You have to give it room to make it shift. You have to let it do it. So it's just when we don't know how to let it do its thing, but you learn it over time. So that's why I want you to go back and study that.
Okay. And
really just listen to yourself and try to recreate it. I'll say this, okay, like save you a little bit of, 97% of singing is doing it right, sometimes by accident, and then going back and studying what happened that was right, and then trying to imitate that. And then you figure out as you go along. Now, yes, I do know all the stuff. You know all the stuff. It's kind of like I went to seminary, I got a master's degree, I got a doctor of ministry, you know, and I came out of that going, well, I believe there's a God. I believe that Jesus saves me. Like, and I just kind of like, I was just like, okay, all that is really good and that supports everything. But in the end, what do I really feel like I know? Mm-hmm. And that is kind of the way it is with singing. You can collect a lot of knowledge. You can collect a lot of exercises. You collect a lot of stuff. But in the end, that's why master classes are so big. It's in the practice and in the getting to know your voice. It's like soccer players, like you can't learn to play soccer theoretically, right? You got to have ball time. Sure. You got to have time on the ball, all that. So but it just takes time. There's no replacement for that. So, all right, now, any questions about that before we move on?
So as you were saying, what is it typical that going up is harder than coming back down, or they're both
normally,
about the same, or is it different support, or what?
That's a good question. Usually it's easier to go up than go down.
Really?
Because well, on a fire engine, okay, when you're looking for these certain things to happen, the reason is because your breath, you're getting to the end of your breath when you're coming down. And so learning to support that shift in a smooth way, you have to like pull it. It's like the last 6 miles of a marathon. You have to figure out, you got to approach it differently because you're at the end of you're getting close to the end of the breath, and you know that the shift is coming, and you know you're going to have to support it differently. And so you have to find those reserves to make that shift and still keep everything relaxed. Because the minute you start tensing up and you get worried about it, like you're going to derail. And so you want to just stay relaxed, think, I know this is coming, and I know I'm going to need to, you'll get to know what happens is you're supporting, when you're in your upper range, there's a sense of ease. When you're above the passaggio, there's a sense of ease. There's almost like people have described it as floating on your breath, like the tone is like floating on the breath. There's lots of different ways people have described it. It's all people, it's just very esoteric and subjective. But it is easier because it requires a lot less breath up there, the higher frequencies. Right. You don't have people wrongly believe they need more breath to sing up high. You don't. You need less. You need more breath to sustain the lower frequencies, but we don't have to shove that breath. We just have to support it. You learn to support it differently with more solid foundation. So, which is one reason why, like, I want to. We haven't even started on. I would like to start with you on the breathing exercise, because that's going to be in the sequence of breathing exercises, because that's going to be so literally foundational for you in supporting your breath through your entire range. Because when you just did that downhill, that was a really smooth transition. You somehow figured out that the air needed to, that the support needed to change, and you needed to kind of re-engage and make sure that the breath stayed there for the whole rest of the ride down. That's I can tell you all about it. I can tell you why it's happening. I can give you what I know about physics. I can tell you about the physiology of what's happening, but you have to experience it to understand the sensations, feel the signs and then be able to support it. Oh. That's my mom. She has had a rough week. She ended up in the hospital.
Oh boy.
With pneumonia, a UTI, E. coli.
Oh my gosh.
And a mass in her bladder. So it's like she's moved into a long-term facility, which is great. Got her out of the hospital, so that's really good. Ooh. But anyway, so she's just got there last night. So she's like, "Would you call me again tonight, please?" So she's 91. What a good daughter you are, sweetheart. So okay, so let's go. Let's get I want to teach you the ba shape, and then I want to start on the breathing stuff today.
Great.
All right, so ba. We're gonna do. So if you think of, I'm gonna give you an arpeggio to do, and if you think of it in terms of the numbers of the intervals, where it's gonna be 1 3 5 8 8 8 8 5 3 1. Okay, so and here is the. Okay. But you can do that if you just think those numbers and you're able to hear those intervals, which I feel pretty well you're going to be able to do. You don't have to have a piano to do this. You can use this to start just around the house. You can just do stuff. You can just keep that pattern in your mind and follow the pattern and move it around in your range. So just like we did Ma number 1. We started, one note, then we went up a half note and did the same thing. Then went up a half note and did the same thing, and kind of work your way up and down your range. So let me.
So when we were doing the Ma, what was the intervals on that?
So you do the hum on 5.
Oh, it's the hum on 5.
5 3 1. Hum 5 3 1.
Okay.
All right. See me? Good. How does this? I'm gonna get my earphones for this because I figured out with you since this thing's over here, it works better. You can hear it better.
Ba ba ba. Ba 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 ba. 3 5 8.
Now the problem was it wasn't picking up the piano as well, was it? Let's try. We'll make adjustments as we go. All right, so let me start you here. That's pretty low. That's like at the bottom of your range. So how's this? And we're going to be on ba. Here's a little bit about the ba. Very relaxed jaw. You're not going for dropped jaw on this. Ba 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 ba. Very loose here. Think about what we talked about with the lip trills and the tongue trills. Very relaxed. Here's how it's going to sound. Ready to try it with me?
We'll give it a shot.
All right. Ready and. Now, how comfortable do you feel with the pattern?
I'm pretty decent.
Okay, so I want you to pick a note, like just pick a pitch that you feel like is going to be a good place to start, and I want you to do it a couple times for me.
Okay. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba.
Good, and move up like
Ba 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 ba.
So hold on. That you were here. Ba ba. Start there. Ba.
Ba 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 ba.
Okay. One more time. Relax everything and make the ba. Oh, that's cool. You're actually fairly relaxed. It's good. Make the B's a little more of a pop. Ba ba ba. See how my lips are kind of ba 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 ba. Very almost like there's an there's a little bit of think of Louis Armstrong for like a split second.
Yeah, I think I'm doing more of a puh than a buh.
Ba ba ba, right.
Ba 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 ba.
Okay. Ma.
Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba.
So you're starting like a fraction of a note higher, but you're still stopping at the same place right before your larynx is shifting. So let's start a little. So if we were here, ba, 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 ba.
Ba 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 ba.
Okay, did you feel how you got over it for one note? Okay. Ba 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 ba.
Ba 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 ba.
Let's keep going. Ba.
Ba 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 ba. Oh,
Don't
this is
worry about it.
excruciating.
I know, don't worry. Remember, this is not you performing karaoke or singing with your friends. You're still getting to know the fullness of your voice, and so am I. We have had 2 hours together, so we are, still working toward getting to know your voice. So, ba 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 ba
ba ba ba ba ba ba ba ba. Ba 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 ba.
Okay, now I want you to sing the first song that comes to your mind. Anything. Sing it.
Oh yeah, that's good. What am I working on? Crossroads seem to come and go.
Okay.
I'm blocking that one.
All right.
Gypsy flies from coast to coast.
Okay. From there, crossroads.
Crossroads.
I want you to go. Crossroads.
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 again.
Crossroads. 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 Crossroads.
We're gonna go back up to where you started it. That was in your like natural. You just went there without thinking about it. Crossroads.
Crossroads. Crossroads. Crossroads. Crossroads. Crossroads. Crossroads. Crossroads. Crossroads. Crossroads. Crossroads. Crossroads. Crossroads. That's
now. As we get up here, I want you to go like this. You're kind of in your high. For me, the equivalent would be crossroads. So crossroads. I want you to really try to drop your jaw. I'm just trying to hear some stuff here.
Yeah.
So just bear with me. Crossroads. Okay, so drop your jaw a little more. Right now you're tightening up because it's slipping around on you.
Yeah.
And you're cringing. So I want you to just ignore the sounds, and I just want you to try to sing it. Try to give me a little more jaw drop as you go up.
Okay. Crossroads.
There, you touched it.
Crossroads. Crossroads. Crossroads.
Okay. Can you go like this for me? Remember the sigh. Remember the yawn sigh. Ah! Go way up into that top part of your voice again. Ah! Okay. So I want to go up there. I want you to use that approach. Crossroads.
Crossroads. Oh, geez.
Now I want you to think of the yawn sigh.
Oh man, I feel like I'm totally straightening everything.
You are? Okay, then let's stop. So that's so weird because your yawn sigh is so open and smooth, but the minute you try to sing words up there, you immediately try to get down again.
Yeah, it feels almost like I'm trying to belt that.
Well, I was trying to get you past that and firmly up into that head voice, and just get you finally, because you're trying to go crossroads, 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 right? And in order for you to be able to sing crossroads, 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 like if I keep pushing, then I'm going to do that too. So you have to be able to blend the head and the chest voices. That's the mix. But you have to understand and feel comfortable with your head voice. So I just want to try to get there. So, and it's going to feel differently, and your approach needs to be a little different. So we're going to do something slightly unorthodox, okay? Not for singing teachers, though. Not unorthodox at all. So we're going to sing it upside down, like this. Because what's happening right now is you're still imagining that high is up and you have to push.
Yeah.
And that is true when you keep singing like this, keep. It's pushing, it's tight, it's very constricted. So I want you to feel what it feels like to be able to go up in your head voice, only in your head voice.
Right.
I want you to just feel what that feels like, and say words up there. Crossroads, crossroads. You'll feel a little bit opera-ish, okay?
Right.
But we're just going to explore that part of your range, and here's how we're going to do it, okay? we're going to hang upside down like this. And if you're, how flexible are you?
Not very.
Not very flexible. Okay. So one, for my not so flexible students, I'll have them try it on the edge of a bed or over the edge of a couch. Like, here's what I can do, but not everybody can do this, is just go straight, and I'm hinging here, right? Not hinging here, because that's right below my diaphragm, so I'm not bending there. I'm hinging here and keeping my torso still basically straight. And I'm not a fold in half kind of gal, but I can get down there. But for some people to explore this, it works for them to maybe try a piano bench or the edge of a couch. So the thing is, you just want to make sure you have room for your torso to be able to be all the way over. Like this. Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay. So I have myself supported with my elbows here, and I don't have my, none of my abs are on this. Right. It can also work on the side of a couch or on a bed, anything like that. So what I'm going to be doing then, what you're going to be trying to do, play with this week, is, and I want you to do this with some of your favorite songs. So songs that you don't have to think hard about. If you need to put a little song sheet down there, do it. And remember, this is all just to get you comfortable with just letting your head voice be, letting it exist. And we know you have one because you can do that yawn sigh so freely. Oh, you're way up there. It starts here, right? Starts here in your nose. The sensation of it, this is where the resonance is kind of mainly happening, is up here. So when you're doing the you'll feel the more in tune you get to it, you'll start to feel that sense of the focus of sound being up here. And that's all just resonance, okay? It's not, there's no ball of light. There's no like, sometimes, but you try to come up with different images to help people. You can think you're a unicorn and the sound is coming out this way. But let the sound come out of your head. Okay? Let it focus in your head, roll around in your head, and begin to feel comfortable in your head. So get some words down there, and just sing the songs that you're normally sing down here in your speaking voice range, and sing them in your head. Right. Like just doing that. So I'm gonna demonstrate again real quick. Okay. Just gonna be down here. And I might sing in one key, a lower key, I might sing, "Fly by night away from here," something like that. But upside down like this, if I'm exploring my head voice, I might sing, like the true Geddy Lee, like, "Fly by night away from here," or something else that's more, not such an attack, like that "Fly by night," those are strong attacks, very kind of staccato-y. So I might think of something more flowing, like "Don't stop believing," right? And I'm singing it like letting it come out of my head.
Oh, okay.
I never sing that on stage. Everybody would laugh you off the stage, but we're not on the stage. And another thing that you can do is don't worry about if the word, like singing it in a style that's so far out of the genre really bothers you, don't sing it as words. Sing it just as like the vowels, or even just on ah, like or if you don't already spend a lot of time upside down, I mean, I only do it. But you're going to start to feel, a lot of the fluid pressure build up in your head. So just do one song, give yourself a break, and do it again later. And explore that this week in the comfort of your own home. And just see if you can find that comfort with your head voice. Just let it roll around. You can imagine for a moment, I'm an opera singer. I'm gonna, I'm a female opera singer. I'm gonna sing, sing La Boheme, or my battery's getting low on my speaker, so I might have to switch to my earbuds in a minute. But yeah, so just explore it, play with it, make it fun. You're a pretty intense person. You have high expectations. Well, just at least in terms of our voice lessons, you have high expectations for yourself and for your voice, and I want you to be able to play with it and have fun. All right, now let's get back to doing our pattern once or twice more. And
buzz.
Yeah, that's good. But this time we're going to. How comfortable do you feel doing that and moving it around your? Let me hear you. So this. Yeah. Remind me, do you have a keyboard at home?
I do downstairs. I do an online keyboard from my computer.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Okay, good. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to record these for you. Just an audio recording. I can use it with other students anyway. And then you'll have it, and the more comfortable you get with it, then you can just do the pattern around the house without having to have the recording going. But at least you'll have like an MP3 of it. Throw it on your phone.
Yeah.
Do it. I'll do the same thing with La Mama. Okay. Right. Should have done that from the beginning. Now I want to.
If you could go slow tempo on that, I don't know. I mean, because I tend to get rushed between the intervals. It's like, yes. I should breathe. And then I try to pick up where it starts, and then I panic and.
Okay, you're just reminding me that, okay, I was going to do, let's put this for next time. What's next time going to be? Okay. All right. We're going to start on the breathing exercise, because that's going to help you with any of those, whether breath struggle is coming from like panic, oh no, it's going too fast, or just that's one application of why it's good to have a breathing technique and process. Another is just nerves in general. Another is just plain flat out breath support. Okay, and making that little success we were celebrating earlier, that downside, making it something that happens all the time. It's a controllable process. And I always say 97% of it is breath support. So now,
do some
breathing. So we're going to start that. Yeah, keep, don't stop, you're breathing. Okay, no, sorry, that was goofy. So, and also I want to encourage you to sing while moving. Okay. That is like when you're listening to songs you like to hear at home that have like a good beat and a rhythm to them, even if it's just like the 80s, you know, back and forth. So do it, move. It relaxes your muscles. It relaxes your brain. It takes your mind off of that process of singing, and just the physicality of it keeps your body warm. So, and keeps, as a result, your laryngeal muscles warm also. So I love choirs and I love being in choirs, but there's a lot of support research-wise for movement while singing. Not maybe, yeah. There's also like a kind of an upper end to that too. Like it's kind of like when you're exercising, can you still carry on a conversation, right? Can you jog with a person and still talk? So you want to make sure there's a balance there. You're not going to be doing like aerobics while you're singing. All right. So yesterday with one of my students, I started a new way. I'm doing a pedagogical experiment. I am not waiting until you understand the whole process theoretically before I teach you the exercise. I am teaching you the exercise, and then as I teach the exercise, I will start explaining to you the theory and the anatomical processes as we go. So you can start right away doing the breathing exercises. And even if you start out being a little wrong with it, it's not going to mess you up for life. So you're not going to need therapy over it. You'll self-correct as you understand more of it, right? It's just like life, everything. We start out and we just dive in and then we self-correct. So, all right. So first of all, I got the basic form of this this is my researcher. I have a history in research, so I give credit where credit is due. So I got this was published by Jeannie Diva in her Contemporary Vocalist Method course. But I didn't and I took lessons with her, but I didn't originally get it from her. I just didn't know the first person I got it from was doing this. But then Jeannie published it, so guess what? She gets the credit. But the first person I learned this from was named Margaret Riddleberger, and she was an opera singer, and she was just a really renowned teacher of bel canto method, which was Italian for a beautiful song. She had, when I took lessons from her, she had 8 students on Broadway at the time, and they would fly down and take lessons from her and fly back. So, and I knew that, but like I did not know the profound benefit of the breathing technique she was teaching me. And she didn't teach the anatomy of it. She just taught the technique. So Jeannie published the anatomy and explained it and made sure all of her students understood it. And so I'm militant about it too, because it closed so many loops for me. It made so many things make so much more sense. It made the exercises make more sense, etc. So there are 3 exercises. The first one is real simple and real easy. There's no real muscle stuff going on. It is understanding the breath going in and the breath going out. It's purely respiratory. We're not doing anything vocal with it. Second one, still no vocal, but we are starting to build muscle because we are understanding that process better. Okay? And we are learning then how to support. The third exercise, which is the final exercise, is we are taking that support foundation and we're applying it to the voice. Okay? That one's hard. So buckle up. No, but it's all good. And then by the time you get to the third one, you are also applying the technique. And actually, some of my students start applying it to their singing during breathing exercise number 2. Once they start to build the muscles, they start to go like, oh, I understand what you're doing with this. So I'm going to start playing with it while I sing. And that's perfectly okay. And even when you speak, like I don't know if I said this to you, but I use this technique as I teach all day long, because I'm teaching all morning and then I take a break and then I teach all afternoon. So, all right. So breathing exercise number 1. Here we go.
You want me to follow you?
Not yet.
Okay.
You just messed me up. Hold on. The once you start a repetition, you want to have your mouth open. I'll just mention that at the beginning. I'll do it. I say this whole spiel. I'll do it and demonstrate it for you, and then I will give you the little guidelines to follow. If you want me to do it again, I'll do it again. Otherwise, you can jump in and do one. Okay? Do a couple. So mouth open. Okay, so that's 3 repetitions. And the daily recipe would be 30. And you can do 10 morning, 10 midday, 10 evening. Or you can do 10, take a minute, 10, take a minute, 10, take a minute. All right, so, and you'll probably find over time it's kind of even relaxing. So enjoy that while you can, because exercise 2 is not relaxing. All right, so here's what I'm doing. I am, to explain a little bit of what we're doing, I am mechanically breathing. Okay? Breathing is an autonomic process that starts in the brain. Brain sends a neurological signal to the diaphragm, which is a great big muscle that I'll show you a picture of in a minute. A lot of people have a lot of different ideas about what the diaphragm. How good are you with your anatomy, like for real?
You showed it to me last week.
I did. Okay. Oh, okay, good. I didn't write that down. All right. No, I didn't write it down. Okay. So, all right. So they got the great big diaphragm, so it sends that. So did I already explain the process? The cause. Oh, okay. Pop quiz. What happens?
That it goes down, which opens up that space that air can come into.
Yes, you missed one. Like, remember cause and effect, the series of causes and effects. So it creates the space. What happens inside that space?
A vacuum.
Well, what's the vacuum happening inside of?
The lungs?
The lungs. Why is there vacuum being created inside the lungs?
Because the diaphragm keeps everything separated from organs and the
Yes.
chest cavity.
Yes. So let's connect the dots between when the diaphragm goes down and it creates more space in that cavity, in that chest cavity. Here's the dot that's missing, or the line that's missing. The lungs are able to expand. Remember, the lungs are an organ of responsiveness. Right. So they're not a muscle in and of themselves. They expand because they're given room to expand.
Right.
When they expand, then creates a vacuum and the air flows in. Okay. So now, when we do, that was good. What happens on the exhale? Just
the reverse. The diaphragm goes up, the lungs don't have any more room, and the air rushes out.
Perfect. So yes, the lungs get compressed and it forces the air out. Okay. So very good. Okay. You actually watched it again and thought it through. So now, what we are doing with exercise number 1 is we are manually doing that process. So when we have the electrical signal that contracts the muscle, that's the autonomic process that causes that chain of events. The rest of it is mechanical. It's like hitting a key on the piano. Hitting the key itself doesn't do anything if it's not connected to all the mechanisms behind it. And eventually a little felted hammer is going to hit the string. And that causes the sound. But it starts with me applying that pressure to the key.
Right.
So the first cause is the signal. In our case, with breathing exercise number 1, is we're going to lift the rib cage, which is going to then stretch the diaphragm. Now, the picture you need to keep in your mind when it comes to the diaphragm is a toilet bowl plunger. Okay? And so if you will imagine pulling the edges of the toilet bowl plunger, you can better imagine the top of it going down, right? And it's not here, we're not talking like 4 inches, we're just talking like an inch or 2, okay? So when I raise my arms, the lats, which are attached up here and down here, those are the main ones. There's other things that are involved in the respiratory process, but for right now, when we're doing this mechanical process, the lats are the big one we're depending on. When I pull up my arm, the lats are going to pull the rib cage up, okay? So when the rib cage goes up on each side, then the diaphragm is just naturally going to come down, okay? It's going to come down. That's going to start that chain of events. And so the lungs get to expand, creates the vacuum, air gets pulled in. Now, here I am up here, and you'll notice I'm at about a 45-degree angle with my arms. And so if this is 90, here's my 45, and I'm jumping into the pool. And you can do whatever you want with your hands. I interlace them so that I'm not focusing on these muscles to try to hold them up. I find it much easier to just leverage this way. So my rib cage is lifted, my diaphragm is lowered, and air has flowed in. Okay, so the air is sitting there in my lungs, and I just have a clock on the wall, and I'm listening to it tick 6 times. So 6 seconds, you can do 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, or whatever works for you. Okay, like just slow counting, and here you are. Key thing, you're not holding your breath here. Okay, there's no like this sound. I'm not even sure where the speaker is. I guess, can you hear that? So yeah. That's, there's not that sense of like choking off the air here. This is all open, and the air is being held because my rib cage is lifted and the diaphragm is lowered, and the lungs are expanded, and everything's just sitting there, staying there, waiting for the next move. So the air's in there. I listen to my 6 seconds. Then I lower my arms. The lats let the rib cage go down. The diaphragm returns to its resting position. And it was really always at rest. It was just being stretched. In this exercise, the diaphragm never contracts. We are manually lowering it. Okay? And so it goes back to its plunger shape, pushes up on the lungs, and makes the air go out. So that's why you have your mouth open for the whole time, and it's a fairly relaxed process. So aside from having to hold your hands up, but and you'll notice too. So let me just walk through it real quick for you. So I'm standing with my feet comfortably apart. You can't really see that too well, but my knees are micro bent, right? They're not locked. My arms are straight but not locked. My palms are facing slightly outward, and I raise my arms up to about shoulder height. Then I bring them forward to that 45-degree angle, and you notice like my posture is just comfortably standing comfortably with my chest up. And there I am. I just stand there with my mouth open and the air in my lungs, my arms in the air. Then I'm going to bring them back down to the side. But there's no magic like thing of like it's just raise your arms. The angle does make a difference, but you don't have to like spend 10 minutes getting there. Just get them on up. And then you start to feel, once you get them up to a certain height, you're going to start feeling that flow start. If you lick your lips, you'll feel it even more because the air will pass over your moistened lips. and it goes in, and then you wait, and then it goes out.
Okay.
And again, you'll become more in tune to when that's happening. And you don't want to suck in air. You don't want to blow out air. You want to let the air flow each way. All right? You want to give it a shot? You want me to do it again?
Sure, I'll give it a shot. And what should I be aware of? Just the kind of the rush of the air, just
yes. Initially, just think about it's not going to feel like a rush. It's going to feel like a little flow, like a babbling brook more than a flowing stream. So you're going to feel that just little flow of air come in. It'll be pretty subtle, and then you'll feel it go out. Over the course of time, you will, so 1001, 1002, 1003, that was a little short. So you want to lengthen it, but that's okay. It's good. You'll get there. And when over the course of time, the more familiar you get with the form, you'll be able to think, oh, whoop, okay, when I'm about here, I start to feel that flow, because there's a chain of events that are happening that just are causing these various little reactions and responses rather, and then you'll begin to feel, oh yeah, I feel that when my rib cage lowered, the air started to flow out, and it's no big gust of wind, it's just little flows. So I think we are out of time.
Yeah.
Oh, we're way out of time. Sorry about that. So, and sorry to me. So I got to put on for every student, I can go on and on and on. So I need to put on timers better. I need to remember to do that. But all right, send me any questions that you have, and or let me know how it's going or whatever, and log your practice. Experiment with stuff. I'm going to send you some recordings of these patterns. And I'll just, I made just them actually last week, but then I forgot to send them. So, but they were kind of fast. So I will slow it down, the tempo, and send it to you. And then you'll have that to practice with. And
in 2 weeks.
Have fun. Yep, in 2 weeks.
All right. Thanks, Natalie.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you, Bob. Bye.